Hello, welcome to APUSH Simplified. Today we're looking at the famous Mayflower Compact, written in 1620 during the voyage of the Pilgrims, and others, to establish the Plymouth colony. First, let's put the document into historical context. In the early 1600s, Great Britain was catching up to other European powers, especially Spain, who had suffered a major defeat with their failed invasion of England a few decades prior. The Virginia colony had been established, but was in need of more settlers. In other important developments, the Protestant Reformation had swept through Great Britain several decades prior. Henry VIII cemented a split with the Roman Catholic Church, which then created the Anglican Church of England. However, some people within Great Britain felt the Anglican Church needed more Protestant reform. One of those groups were the Puritans, who followed Calvinist Christian beliefs, including that of predestination. At certain points, Puritans were persecuted for their beliefs, as they ran counter to the official teachings of the Church of England. A subgroup within the Puritans were the Pilgrims, who felt they needed to completely separate from the Church of England. This small group was able to line up a few investors for a Plymouth colony in the New World. About 102 settlers set sail for Virginia on the Mayflower. An important note is that not all of them were Pilgrims, and there was a real divide aboard the Mayflower between the Pilgrims and others, who they referred to as the strangers. Trouble struck when rough seas blew the ships off course and they would need to land well north of the Virginia colony. This caused heightened tensions between the Pilgrims and the strangers on board the Mayflower. The divide threatened the whole journey as mutiny was a real possibility. An agreement was signed between the strangers and the Pilgrims, we know as the Mayflower Compact. Now, taking a look at the compact itself, an important detail is that it mentions King James as their sovereign, and the colonists would remain loyal subjects. This was probably a compromise between the strangers and Pilgrims, as the Pilgrims were originally seeking complete separation. However, the strangers had no intention of it. Next is the Christian faith is very prevalent in the documents, as the grace and presence of God is mentioned. The purpose of the Mayflower Compact is for a social contract that establishes law and order for the sake of survival. A few key quotes include, "Covenant and combine ourselves together into a civil body politic for our better ordering and preservation. And by virtue hereof do enact, constitute, and frame such just and equal laws, ordinance, acts, constitutions, and officers from time to time as shall be thought most meet and convenient for the general good of the colony." End quote. Finally, let's look at the impact and legacy of the Mayflower Compact. The early years of the Plymouth colony were very difficult. Half died in the first year alone. However, despite the difficulties, the colonists worked together. Also, more settlers arrived and set up small towns nearby. These commonwealths had a degree of democracy, as male church members could vote on local laws and issues, and they all sent representatives to a general court. This shows an early successful attempt at democracy in the British colonies. Thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more AP US history content.